Subscribe to my YouTube channel, share it with your friends, and comment your thoughts. He locked the door and drove off. She was still inside the bathroom. The first thing she noticed was the silence. No engine running, no music playing, no footsteps pacing outside. Nothing but the hum of a fluorescent light buzzing above the stained bathroom mirror. Olivia looked up, still cradling her belly with both hands. 8 months pregnant, swollen ankles, back aching, and now the growing sense that something was off. She flushed, stepped out of the grimy gas station bathroom, and blinked in the harsh afternoon sun. No car, no husband, just a cracked parking lot, the faint smell of diesel, and a dusty wind that picked up the hem of her maternity dress. "Liam," she called out, at first casual. Then again, louder. "Liam," but the only answer was the rattle of an old vending machine behind her. Her pulse ticked faster. She stepped forward, glancing around. Maybe he went inside the tiny convenience store. She pushed the door open. The teenage clerk didn't even look up from his phone. A small radio played some country song in the background. "Did you see where the guy in the black SUV went?" Olivia asked, trying to keep the panic out of her voice. The clerk shrugged. "He pulled out about 10 minutes ago." Her stomach dropped. "Are you sure?" He finally glanced up. "Yeah, I remember, 'cause he looked real sharp. Fancy shirt, gold watch. Thought it was weird someone like him would stop here." Olivia stared at him, unable to form words. Her husband had left and he wasn't coming back. The drive had been tense from the beginning. They were supposed to be going to the coast. A baby moon, Liam called it. A last breath before the baby arrives. He joked even though he hadn't laughed. Not really, not the way he used to. Something had shifted in him over the last few months. The softness disappeared. His gaze stayed cold. Phone always face down. Business trips that didn't add up. Nights he came home smelling like cologne that wasn't hers. But she'd convinced herself it was just pressure. New baby, new house, long hours. He had been under stress. Now, standing in the middle of nowhere with no phone signal and no ride, Olivia realized the truth. It wasn't stress. It was escape. The motel next to the gas station looked like it hadn't been cleaned since the 90s. A blinking neon vacancy sign flickered above a peeling green door. With no other option, she walked in, clutching her belly like it might fall if she didn't hold on tight. The woman behind the desk was old, maybe in her 70s, with wiry grey hair and deep frown lines. My husband left me here," Olivia said. "I'm 8 months pregnant. I don't have my phone," and she trailed off as her voice cracked. The woman blinked slowly. "You need a room." Olivia nodded, ashamed at how fast the tears were coming. The woman reached under the counter. "You can stay the night, on me." Olivia couldn't even thank her. She just sank into the chair next to the reception desk and sobbed. Somewhere across the state, Liam poured himself a second glass of whiskey and sank into a leather armchair, overlooking the private pool of a high-end resort. No guilt, no hesitation. He had done what needed to be done. 8 months ago, when Olivia told him she was pregnant, something inside him snapped. Not from fear, but from calculation. Because the baby wasn't part of the plan, not his plan. There was someone else now, someone who made him feel powerful, someone who didn't cry at night over baby names and stretch marks, someone who didn't know about the debts he'd buried or the secrets he'd locked behind years of deception. He lit a cigar and smiled at the view. He'd leave Olivia the house. Let her raise the kid, maybe wire her some money in a month or two. By then he'd be on a different continent, maybe with a new name. Back at the motel, Olivia lay curled up on a lumpy mattress, unable to sleep. Her phone had been in the glove compartment. Her purse too. She had nothing, no ID, no wallet, no contact numbers memorized. In today's world, without a phone, she felt like she didn't exist. That night, the baby kicked harder than usual. Rhythmic, fierce, like it knew something had changed. "I'm sorry," Olivia whispered to her belly. "I didn't know." Tears slid down her cheeks, not for herself, but for the life inside her that had just been betrayed too. By morning, she had a plan. She borrowed a phone from the motel owner, Margie, and called her old friend Rachel in San Diego. Rachel answered on the third ring. "Liv, oh my God, you okay?" "Not really," Olivia said, forcing a breath. "Can you come get me?" Rachel didn't ask questions. She just asked for the address. By the time Rachel arrived 6 hours later, Olivia had pieced together what she could from a borrowed laptop in the motel office. Liam hadn't just left her. He had withdrawn $60,000 from their joint account too. Days ago, he'd also booked a luxury resort under a different name, El Mercer. That wasn't his real last name, but it was the name he used in certain business circles, ones Olivia had always been kept away from. Now, something felt darker than abandonment, something deliberate. As Rachel helped her into the car, Olivia clutched her belly and whispered, "He didn't just run." Rachel glanced at her. "What do you mean?" "I think." Olivia hesitated, her voice shaking. "I think he's planning to disappear. For good." Rachel frowned. "Why would he?" Then she stopped, because Olivia had turned her phone screen toward her, and on it was a photo from the resort's tagged Instagram feed. Liam, shirt open, glass in hand, smiling, with another woman curled up beside him. But the photo wasn't the shocking part. It was the woman's wrist, wrapped in the same gold bracelet Olivia had seen in a drawer back home. One, Liam said, was for someone at work. That bracelet had belonged to Olivia's late sister. Cliffhanger Olivia stared at the screen, her face gone pale. Rachel whispered, "Liv, that's not just some woman, that's..." But Olivia already knew. And for the first time in 24 hours, her hands stopped trembling. They steadied with something colder. Resolve. The bracelet belonged to her dead sister, but her sister was supposed to be dead. Olivia sat stiffly in the passenger seat, the silence between her and Rachel heavy and raw. She hadn't spoken a word since they pulled out of the gas station motel. The baby kicked occasionally, gentle nudges against her ribs, as if trying to reassure her that she wasn't alone. But she was. Alone in a way that made the world feel unfamiliar. Her husband had vanished. Her savings were gone. And now, a woman who wore her dead sister's bracelet was lounging poolside with him like nothing in the world was broken. The photo spun in her mind like a carousel of chaos. Her sister Harper had died 2 years ago in a house fire. At least, that's what the police told them. That's what the DNA confirmed, but Olivia had never seen the body. Only a charred necklace, a melted phone, that gold bracelet, the same bracelet now sitting on the wrist of the woman pressed against Liam. Rachel was the first to break the silence. "I'm sorry. I didn't want to say it out loud in front of you, but..." She hesitated. "That really looked like Harper, Liv." Olivia nodded slowly. It was Harper. But she's dead. Apparently not. They drove for hours, with Olivia piecing together details she hadn't dared acknowledge before. The way Liam used to flinch when Harper's name came up, how he insisted on handling the cremation privately, the odd phone calls he would get late at night in the months following Harper's death. Olivia hadn't wanted to believe anything was wrong. Back then, she was grieving, fragile. Liam had been the one holding her up. Now she saw it differently. He hadn't been her support. He'd been her deceiver. They stopped at Rachel's apartment in San Diego. Olivia showered, changed into fresh clothes Rachel had bought for her, and sat down with a glass of water in her shaking hands. "I need to find him," Olivia said. Her voice was calm, but her eyes were blazing. "I need to know why." "Why he left you?" Rachel asked. "No. Why he faked my sister's death." Rachel nearly dropped the mug she was holding. "You really think..." "I don't think. I know. That bracelet is one of a kind. Harper and I had matching ones made when we were kids. I gave it back to her 2 weeks before she supposedly died. I would never forget it. Rachel sat down beside her, gripping her shoulder. Okay, then we go after him. But you're not doing it alone. The resort was called Azure Haven, a luxury estate tucked deep in the Palm Desert, designed for billionaires and the discreetly unfaithful. Olivia stared at the resort's filtered Instagram posts, each one a painful reminder of how Liam had traded real love for a fantasy. She found the woman again in another photo, smiling, laughing, her face half-turned, wearing sunglasses. But that laugh, it was Harper's. Her voice rang in Olivia's memory, strong and bright. Don't ever trust a man who lies about small things. It means he's already lying about big ones. Had Harper known back then? Had she disappeared on purpose? Had Liam helped her or tricked her? The questions stacked like bricks inside Olivia's chest. She pulled Rachel's laptop closer. I need to go there, she said. Rachel shook her head. You're 8 months pregnant. You need a hospital checkup, a lawyer, and rest. I need answers, Rachel. Rachel didn't argue again. She just opened a map and started planning. 2 days later, Olivia arrived at Azure Haven. She wore sunglasses, her long auburn hair tied up in a scarf, a flowing maxi dress to hide the full curve of her belly. She carried a leather tote with nothing but cash Rachel had loaned her, a burner, phone, and the photo of Liam and Harper folded tightly in her hand. She walked straight through the marble entrance, heart pounding. No one stopped her. She moved with quiet confidence, like she belonged, just another pampered wife checking in early. The resort was decadent, glass walls, tropical scents, slow jazz humming from invisible speakers. Every guest walked like they had no regrets. She took a seat by the pool bar, her back to the sun. Then she saw them, Liam and Harper, lounging under a white canopy, laughing. Harper's hand grazed Liam's chest like she'd done it 1,000 times before. Olivia stared. She couldn't breathe, couldn't think. She wanted to run across the deck, scream, grab Harper and shake the lies out of her, but she didn't. She waited, watched, listened. She ordered a drink she wouldn't touch and positioned herself close enough to hear fragments of their conversation. Only 2 more days before we leave, Liam was saying. I've got the passports, the boat's waiting in La Paz. Does she suspect anything? Harper asked. Liam smirked. She's probably sitting at that gas station crying her eyes out. They both laughed. Olivia's vision swam. Her hand gripped the edge of the bar. They had planned this, together, her sister and her husband. They had left her to rot. When Olivia finally stood, her legs trembled. She backed away unnoticed and walked briskly to the lobby restroom. Locked herself and slid to the floor. Her breath came in short bursts as hot, silent tears fell. Not grief, not even betrayal. Something colder, something deeper. Revenge. That night, Rachel met her in the staff parking lot. Disguised as a private masseuse, Rachel had used fake credentials to gain access to the spa's back corridors. You sure you want to do this? She asked. Olivia nodded. They're leaving in 2 days. I want to leave first. They snuck into Liam's suite when he and Harper were at a wine tasting. Olivia opened his briefcase. Inside were passports, cash, a burner phone, and a flash drive. She took them all, then moved to Harper's bag, where she found something worse, a fake death certificate. Harper's, the one she'd shown the police 2 years ago. It had been forged, filed under a stolen coroner's seal, and right beside it, a prenatal ultrasound image with Olivia's name on it. Rachel stared at it. Why does Harper have this? Olivia's hands shook. Then she noticed a sticky note stuck to the back. It read, "Need to get rid of her before she delivers. Baby foul tie." No ties. Rachel gasped. Oh my God! Olivia's legs nearly gave out. This wasn't abandonment. This was attempted erasure. They were planning to disappear with everything, leaving her and the baby for dead. Back at Rachel's car, Olivia clutched the evidence in her hands. "They're flying out in 2 days," she whispered. "I'm going to make sure they never get on that plane." Rachel placed a hand on her arm. "Whatever you need, I'm in." Cliffhanger. Olivia stared at the burner phone she'd taken from Liam's bag. She powered it on. There were only 2 contacts saved. One was H, the other was M. She clicked on M. It opened to a single message thread. M. Clean exit. You'll be wired once it's done. Make sure the wife doesn't live to tell. She had all the proof now, and nothing left to lose. Next stop, police? No, too soon. First, the trap. She lured them to the place where it all began. The burner phone glowed faintly in Olivia's palm. Her thumb hovered over the M message thread. Make sure the wife doesn't live to tell. She read it 3 times, then once more. It wasn't just betrayal, it was a contract. A kill order. They had tried to erase her and the baby growing inside her for good, and someone named M was pulling strings from the shadows. But Olivia wasn't crying anymore, not even shaking. She was calculating every memory, every moment she'd blamed herself for not being enough, flipped. They hadn't left because of her. They'd left because she was in the way. Rachel laid out the passports, forged documents, and Harper's fake death certificate on the bed at the small roadside motel where they'd relocated. "These people don't just want your money," she said quietly. "They want your identity. They want your baby gone so they can build a life on your ashes." "Then let's give them a life worth building," Olivia replied, her voice cold, clear. "And burn it down," Rachel blinked. "You've got a plan." "I've got a location," Olivia said, "and bait." That night, Olivia used the burner phone to message M. Olivia, posing as Liam. "Wife's back. Followed us. Thinks she knows everything. Need cleanup ASAP. Meet at her hometown. Spot, same place as before." A minute later, the reply came, M. Handled. No loose ends this time. "Same place as before," Olivia repeated under her breath. There was only one place it could mean. The cabin, her father's old property, burned down 2 years ago in the fire that killed Harper. It had never made sense how quickly the case was closed. No DNA match, just assumptions based on belongings found in the ashes. Now it made perfect sense. That fire was staged. The cabin was part of the setup. She'd thought her sister died there. Turns out it was where she was reborn. Into a lie. The next morning, Olivia and Rachel made the 3-hour drive north. Wind sliced through the trees as they approached the ruins. The cabin's remains were still there. Blackened beams, half a brick chimney, ashes long since cooled, but never forgotten. Olivia stood at the edge of the debris, hands wrapped around her belly. "This is where they buried the truth," she whispered. "Now we dig it back up." They rigged the site with audio recorders Rachel borrowed from her journalism contacts, small cameras disguised in rotting wood, motion detectors, hidden in broken shingles, all wired to a private laptop hotspot in their truck. Then Olivia made the call. She dialed Liam from a blocked number, disguising her voice with a slight distortion app. "Olivia," disguised voice. "She's alive. She knows. Cabin. Tonight. Come. Alone, or it goes public." Then she hung up. No name, no threats, just facts. He'd come. They both would. Because secrets like these don't stay buried forever. That evening, storm clouds rolled in. The forest grew darker, meaner. A car engine groaned in the distance, then another. Through a hidden camera, Olivia watched Liam step out of his black SUV. Alone, a few minutes later, Harper's red coupe arrived. She wore black gloves, a coat, and no emotion. They met at the center of the ruins. "Who called you?" Harper snapped. Liam looked around. "I don't know. Said she's alive here." Olivia and Rachel watched from the truck, gripping each other's hands. "Do you think it's her?" Harper asked. "She's pregnant and broke. Even if it is, she can't touch us," Liam replied. But M said, Liam cut her off. I'll handle it just like we planned. Harper hesitated. What if she kept proof? She didn't. I made sure. She had nothing. Rachel whispered. They're lying to each other. I know, Olivia murmured, and now they'll lie to each other all the way to hell. Liam took out his phone and texted, M. Liam. At the site. No sign yet. Move in. Minutes. Later, headlights emerged from the dark. A third vehicle. A man stepped out, tall, wearing a military-grade jacket and gloves. No smile, no greeting. Is the target here? He asked. Not yet, Liam answered. The man nodded and moved toward the ruins, scanning the area. That's when Rachel triggered the pre-recorded audio Olivia had made earlier. It was Olivia's voice, raw and full of fire, echoing through hidden speakers. I know what you did, I know everything, and I'm not afraid anymore. The man froze. Liam looked up. Where is she? Harper's eyes widened. This is a trap. Suddenly blue lights flashed in the trees. Dozens. Police cruisers closed in, sirens cutting through the storm. Flashback, 2 days earlier, Olivia sat with a detective named Clara Velasquez, laid out every piece of evidence. The forged death certificate, the burner messages, the ultrasound note. You're saying they staged a death, stole money, and planned a murder? Clara had asked. No, Olivia replied. I'm saying they did worse, and I can prove it. If you let me set the bait. Back in the present, officers surrounded Liam, Harper, and the hitman. Rachel's voice came through a megaphone. Don't move! You're all under arrest. Liam bolted, running into the trees. Harper screamed after him, Liam, don't leave me! But he was already gone. The hitman didn't flinch. He dropped his weapon and knelt silently. Officers moved. In and cuffed Harper. She screamed, twisted, begged. You don't understand. She was never supposed to come back. But Olivia had stronger, smarter, and backed by the truth. Later, inside the sheriff's office, Olivia sat under bright lights, recounting every last detail. They planned my death, she said. Together, my husband and my sister. All for a new identity, a new life. They wanted to disappear and take my baby's future with them, the officer asked gently. And how did you know to come back here? She held up the photo of the bracelet. Because monsters always return to the place they buried their first lie. Cliffhanger and knock echoed at Olivia's motel door that night. Rachel opened it and froze. There stood Liam, disheveled, bleeding, desperate. He held out a flash drive. His eyes were wild, hollow. She's lying, he whispered. Harper, she tricked me too. And in that moment, Olivia realized the trap had worked. But the game wasn't over. Now came the twist. Who was the real villain? Liam, Harper, or someone they both feared? He said she lied. But the flash drive exposed a third monster. The flash drive trembled in Olivia's hand. Liam was still outside the motel room, sitting on the curb with his head buried in his palms, blood dripping down one temple. Rachel stood near the window, phone in hand, watching him like a hawk. He's lying, she said for the third time. It's another game. Olivia plugged the flash drive into her laptop anyway. If it is, she said calmly, I'll end it myself. The screen blinked to life. One folder titled, She's Not Who You Think. Inside, videos, documents, voice recordings, all marked with dates. Going back years. Years before Olivia had even met Liam. She clicked the first video, and her entire body turned to ice. Video, a grainy feed from a security camera, a teenage Harper, 16, maybe 17, standing in a dark hallway. The door behind her was cracked open, muffled voices inside. Suddenly, Harper peered directly into the camera and smiled. Then she whispered, He thinks he's in control. But this is just the start. The video cut out. Olivia clutched the edge of the desk. She's been planning something for years. Rachel frowned. Why did Liam have this? She clicked the next file, a document. A fake identity application for Harper Lynn Evans, dated 2 months before the fire that supposedly killed her. Another file, a forged will. Leaving everything from their father's trust to Harper, provided Olivia was out of the picture. Liam hadn't started this. He had joined something already in motion. Back outside, Liam spoke in a low, broken voice. "She found me at my lowest," he said. "Right after I left the army. I was broke, angry, easy to manipulate." Rachel stood with crossed arms, unimpressed. "She told me Olivia was abusive," Liam continued, "that she hurt you, cheated on you, said your father left the money to Harper because he knew what you really were." "She lied to you," Olivia said quietly, stepping outside, "just like she lied to me and our father." "I believed everything she said," Liam whispered, "until 2 weeks ago." Olivia's heart clenched. "What happened 2 weeks ago?" He looked up at her. "She poisoned someone. I think she was testing it for you." Flashback. 2 weeks earlier, Liam remembered coming home to Harper cooking stew. "I made it special," she said, smiling. But that night, their housekeeper, a quiet woman named Maria, collapsed in the hallway. Seizures, vomiting. Liam rushed her to the hospital. She barely survived. The doctors said it was rat poison. When Liam confronted Harper, she said it must have been a mistake. But the next morning, Liam found a handwritten note inside her purse. "O's blood is thin, won't take much, just 2 drops. I copied everything," he said. "Downloaded what I could from her laptop. But before I could run, she caught me, had me beaten, took my passport. Left me at that house in the woods." He looked at Olivia with shattered eyes. "I escaped last night. You're not safe. None of us are. She's not working alone." Olivia paced. Every cell in her body screamed not to trust him. But the flash drive didn't lie, and the documents on it pointed to another person in the shadows, a hidden name, repeatedly encrypted and attached to Harper's forged documents, C. Malden. "I've seen that name before," Rachel said. "Wait, hold on." She grabbed her phone, scrolled rapidly through old news clippings, then froze. She turned the screen toward Olivia. It was a man, middle-aged, stern face, wire-rimmed glasses. Clarence Malden, a criminal defense attorney, turned underground asset manager, specialized in identity laundering, fake estates, and falsifying deaths. And 10 years ago, he represented Harper in a sealed juvenile case. "He helped Harper vanish once," Rachel said, "and now he's helping her again." That night, Olivia made a choice. If Harper was the mask, Clarence Malden was the puppeteer, and it was time to rip the mask off. The setup. Using the flash drive evidence, Rachel traced a private clinic registered to Clarence Malden in a remote area 2 hours away, operating under a fake wellness name, Blue Fern Institute. It wasn't a spa, it was a digital laundering den where identities were created, erased, and replaced. "We go there," Rachel said. "We might find out who Harper really is and how far this thing goes," Liam offered. "To drive?" Rachel raised an eyebrow. "You betray us again. I won't call the cops. I'll call your mother and tell her everything." Liam winced. Fair enough. The Blue Fern Institute looked like a luxury detox retreat, but the security around the perimeter said otherwise. Armed guards, cameras, retinal scanners. They parked in a nearby forest trail and approached on foot. Rachel slipped past the cameras using a jammer she borrowed from a tech friend. Olivia carried a small GoPro recording everything. Liam acted as lookout. Inside, they found what looked like a library, except every book was hollowed out and filled with passports, licenses, and SIM cards. Harper's name appeared on 5 different IDs, but it was the file labeled Project ORB that froze Olivia in her tracks. Inside, photos of her baby's sonogram, her medical reports. A timeline, Rachel whispered. "This isn't just about identity. They wanted to sell your baby." The final page confirmed it. High-value embryo from generational lineage, viable, estimated black market worth $950,000. Suddenly, a sound, footsteps outside the door. They barely had time to hide when Clarence Maldon himself stepped in. And, behind him, Harper. Olivia's breath caught. Harper looked colder, sharper. Her long blonde hair was slicked back, her coat tailored to military precision. "I don't care how we do it," she said to Maldon, not yet seeing Olivia and the others. "Hiding. I want her erased before the child arrives. Her voice, her face, her existence." Maldon replied, "That will require a complete biometric wipe. You're sure you want to go through with this?" "I'm beyond sure," Harper said. "Then she smiled. "Besides, she doesn't have the stomach to fight me." Olivia stepped out from the shadows. "I guess you never knew me at all." Harper froze. For the first time, fear flickered across her face. Then it vanished, replaced by rage. "You never knew how to stay gone," she hissed. "And you never knew how to stop destroying people," Olivia snapped. "They fought, not physically, but with words that cut deeper than knives." "You stole everything," Olivia said. "Even our father's memory, his trust, his name." "He gave it to me," Harper spat. "He knew I had what you didn't, power." "He gave it to you?" Olivia stepped closer. "Or did you poison him too?" Harper laughed. "I didn't need to. He was already dying. I just made sure you never found the will." Liam, shaking with fury, stepped between them. "I loved you," he said. Harper didn't even blink. "I loved what you could do." "That's different." Suddenly, sirens howled. Rachel had triggered a silent alert to Detective Velasquez the moment they breached the facility. Police stormed the institute. Maldon was arrested. Harper tried to run, but Olivia tackled her, one hand. Gripping Harper's arm, the other clenched over her swelling belly. "You don't get to run," she growled. "Not anymore." Cliffhanger that night, as Olivia finally slept, safe, protected in a hotel, with armed police stationed outside, her phone buzzed. A message, unknown number. "You took out the pawn, but the king is still on the board. M." Olivia sat up, breath caught. Harper wasn't the top. She was a piece, and someone else was playing the game. The king makes his move and reveals what Olivia never knew. The text haunted her. "You took out the pawn, but the king is still on the board. M." Olivia stared at the message, hands trembling. The police had Harper in custody. Clarence Maldon was booked and charged with identity fraud, criminal conspiracy, and attempted child trafficking. Yet someone else was still pulling strings. M wasn't Maldon. That meant there was another player, one even Harper feared. Detective Velasquez examined the text. "We traced the number. It's bouncing off satellite servers in the Caribbean, encrypted 6 times over. Whoever this is has money, power, and a reason to come after my child," Olivia whispered. Rachel stood at the window, tense. "This doesn't make sense. Who would want your baby so badly they'd orchestrate a betrayal, a fake death, and try to erase you?" Liam, quiet, bruised, and guilt-ridden, finally spoke. "I think I know who M is." It started with a secret Liam had buried for years. 2 months into his relationship with Harper, she introduced him to a man at a private estate party in the hills of Napa Valley. The man never gave his full name, but the staff called him Mr. Morrow. Wealthy, cold, unreachable, with the kind of connections that made background checks vanish. He wasn't listed as a donor, owner, or relative in any registry, but according to Harper, he bankrolled everything. She called him the family's patron, Liam said. She said he was the reason she got custody of the Evans Trust Fund, and the reason Olivia was kept in the dark. Olivia's blood ran cold. "My father had one business partner, briefly, Morrow Industries. I thought he sold them his shares before I turned 18. Liam shook his head. "Morrow didn't buy them. He took them. Your father was forced out." They dug deeper. With help from Velasquez and a cybercrime analyst, Olivia got access to old Evans Family Foundation documents. Buried in the files, she found a name repeated across sealed board meeting transcripts: Marcus R. Morrow, founder of Morrow Biogenetics. And, according to the documents, he'd been trying to gain access to the Evans bloodline research for years. Olivia's father had invested heavily in genetic therapy, targeting hereditary diseases with a special focus on resilience to neural decay. His project had failed to go public before his death, but what Olivia never knew was this: she was the only successful test subject, and now she was pregnant. Rachel gasped as she read the decrypted files. This wasn't about revenge or jealousy. Harper didn't just want your money. She wanted your baby because someone else paid her to. Liam turned pale. Morrow has access to biotech labs. He could do anything with that DNA. Olivia's mind raced. But why use Harper? Why not just come to me directly? Velasquez answered grimly. Because the law protects your rights. But if you're declared mentally unfit or disappear conveniently, then a guardian can take custody. Harper was the setup. Morrow was the buyer. And Olivia suddenly remembered something from years ago. Her father's last letter. A warning she'd never understood until now. Be careful who smiles at your shadow. Sometimes it's the shadow that smiles back. Morrow had been circling her family long before Harper turned dark. The trap was almost complete. Rachel leaned in. If Harper's in jail, Morrow might go quiet. But if we bait him, make him think he still has a chance, we might draw him out. You mean use me as bait? Olivia asked. Rachel nodded. You're the only thing he wants. Liam stepped forward. Then I'll help. I owe you both that much. Velasquez hesitated. I can have units nearby, but Morrow's people are deep. If something goes wrong, I'm not afraid anymore, Olivia said firmly. This ends now. They staged a leak. A hacked report was sent anonymously to a known biotech trading forum, claiming that Olivia Evans was seeking a private buyer for her unborn child's DNA rights due to financial hardship. A few photos, a fake lab report, a location, an old family estate long abandoned, Evans Vineyards. The bait was set. 2 nights later, he came, not in a limousine or helicopter, but in silence. Morrow stepped out of a matte black car wearing a tailored charcoal coat and leather gloves. His face was lean, ageless, his eyes soulless. Olivia stood in the vineyard's center, cradling her belly beneath her coat. Hidden mics transmitted every word. Liam waited in the barn. Rachel was perched in the watchtower with a high-range lens. Velasquez's team listened in from 2 properties away. Morrow approached her calmly. Miss Evans, or should I say, Miss Experiment Number 7. Her breath caught. He smiled thinly. Your father didn't tell you everything, did he? She held her ground. You ruined his work, stole his patents, bribed Harper. I freed his work, Morrow replied. You were his prize subject, engineered to resist cognitive decline, immune to neurodegeneration. You're carrying the next generation of that evolution. And I will not let it go to waste. Olivia stepped back. It's not yours. Morrow didn't flinch. Everything can be bought. He reached into his coat, pulled out a sleek silver vial. You were injected with something your father never disclosed. This is the catalyst. 1 drop into your bloodstream would enhance the child's neural sequencing. You would be part of the future. She stared at the vial, then slapped it out of his hand. Your future dies with you. Suddenly, gunfire. Morrow's men burst from the vineyards, weapons drawn. Velasquez's unit intercepted, sirens screaming. Rachel sniped 2 shooters from the tower before they reached Olivia. Liam tackled another, trying to grab her. Morrow tried to run, but Olivia chased him down, slamming the butt of a fallen pistol into his knee. He crumpled. She stood over him, chest heaving. You tried to erase me. He looked up, bleeding, cold. You were never meant to survive. Olivia raised the gun, hand steady. Neither were you. But Velasquez arrived just in time. Don't. He'll rot better in prison. The aftermath was chaos, but it was over. Morrow and his team were arrested on federal charges: illegal genetic experimentation, trafficking, conspiracy, attempted kidnapping. The lab files from Clarence Malden's clinic, combined with Morrow's confession, exposed a biotech trafficking network that spanned 4 countries. Harper remained silent in jail, but the damage she caused could never be undone. 1 week later, Olivia visited her father's grave. Liam stood beside her, not forgiven, not yet, but trying. Rachel kept a protective arm looped through Olivia's. She had become more than a best friend. She was a sister forged in battle. Olivia placed a single white rose on the gravestone. "I'm sorry I didn't. I see it sooner," she whispered, "but I see it now. You didn't die in vain." As they turned to leave, Rachel spoke. "There's still one more twist, Liv." She handed Olivia an envelope. Inside, an ultrasound photo the doctor had circled. "Something twins, cliffhanger." Olivia dropped the envelope, hands over her mouth. Twins, not one heir to a genetic legacy, but 2. And as they left the graveyard, Olivia's phone buzzed again. Another message, same encrypted number. "Check your hospital's blood bank. You'll find I already took what I need. M." She stopped walking. What does he mean? Took? Her face turned white. There had been blood tests during her last visit. If Morrow had agents inside the hospital, he didn't need the baby anymore. He already had the blood. She faced the monster and turned her pain into power. The message burned in Olivia's hand. "Check your hospital's blood bank. You'll find I already took what I need." Her knees buckled. Twins. And now he had their blood. Rachel caught her just before she fell. "We need to go. Now." Velasquez called ahead to the hospital, but it was too late. A nurse was missing. A technician, dead. Body found in the incinerator room. Blood sample lockers broken into. No security footage. Just one message left on the terminal screen. "The next generation has begun." 2 days later, somewhere in Belize, in a sterile, underground lab, Marcus Morrow held a vial of glowing blood under cold lights. 2 strands, one from each twin. "What Evans created was only the beginning," he whispered. A scientist behind him adjusted a monitor. "We've isolated the resistance gene. The sequence is nearly stable. We could recreate them without the mother." "No," Morrow said firmly. "I don't want clones. I want heirs. One of those children will work with me one day. We'll wait. We'll watch." He tapped a button. On screen, live footage of Olivia exiting her doctor's office played. They were still watching her. Back in California, Olivia was done. Running Velasquez warned her to lie low, but Olivia refused. "I'm done hiding," she said. "I'm going to expose them, and I'll do it in front of the world." She hired a private forensic team. Rachel and Liam worked side by side to track offshore accounts. They found records of anonymous fund transfers to a fake children's charity, used to launder biotech test results. Olivia contacted whistleblower networks. One agreed to air her story, live, global broadcast, but she had to go public. Rachel tried to stop her. "If you do this, they'll come for you again." Olivia's voice didn't shake. "Let them." The day of the broadcast, the studio was tight with security. Olivia wore a dark green blazer, baby bump visible. Her hands didn't shake as the camera went live. "I'm Olivia Evans," she said, steady and clear. "My family built a future of healing, but that future was stolen, twisted by a man named Marcus Morrow. He took my DNA, my children's, and he's creating something the world should never allow." She paused, voice hardening. "This isn't just about science. It's about power, ownership, and we say no more." She held up a file, proof of DNA manipulation, offshore biolabs, medical staff killed to cover tracks. The world heard her. Within 24 hours, every major news outlet picked it up. Interpol got involved. Morrow's name surfaced on blacklists, biotech forums, and dark web markets. The king had finally been seen. But Morrow wasn't done yet. That night, Olivia received a video message. No words, just footage. Her ultrasound appointment. The nurse who'd drawn her blood smiling into the hidden camera. And a final note. You exposed the monster, but you forgot. Monsters reproduce. The chase-turned personal Velasquez used the broadcast to track leaked IP addresses. One pinged in Guatemala, another in Haiti, a third in San Diego. All led back to private labs. Olivia and her team took a bold step. Working with Interpol, they set a sting. Not to capture Morrow, but to destroy his seed. They raided 6 illegal testing sites in 1 week. Embryos, clones, genetic alterations, all destroyed. Morrow's network began to unravel. Doctors disappeared. His top assistant turned herself in, revealing a chilling plan. He wanted to raise a child with Olivia's DNA, under his own control, a messiah child, his version of evolution. Olivia's stomach turned, but her resolve grew sharper. Months later, the final confrontation ate. Months pregnant, Olivia received a package. No return address. Inside, a photo, a child, black hair, pale eyes, maybe 4 years old, holding a teddy bear in a lab room. Written on the back, Prototype 0 survived. He calls me father. Olivia collapsed into a chair. Rachel took the photo from her. This can't be real, can it? Velasquez confirmed it was a secret surrogate, one of Harper's former associates. Morrow had lied. He hadn't needed Olivia to bear the child. He just needed her blood. He'd already started. Birthday, it was storming when Olivia went into labor. She refused to go to any public hospital. Instead, she delivered at a secure facility under FBI watch. 2 babies, a boy and a girl, healthy, whole. Liam was there, outside the glass, tears in his eyes. Olivia didn't say much, but she nodded when he asked to hold them. Rachel stayed by her side the whole time, but Olivia's heart stayed heavy, because somewhere out there, another child existed, a genetic brother to her twins, and he was being raised by a monster. 6 months later, the letter Olivia received an envelope from Interpol. Morrow's lab in Belize had been burned to the ground. No survivors, but no remains of the child either. Just one survivor's account, a security guard, who fled during the fire. He said he saw a child walking away from the flames, alone, calm, smiling. The boy spoke one sentence before disappearing into the trees. She's coming. I'm waiting for her. Final scene. 1 year later. Olivia sat at a playground, her twins, toddling nearby. She wore sunglasses, but the scars inside hadn't faded. Rachel sat beside her, sipping coffee. You're really doing it, huh? She asked. Olivia nodded. New identity, new country. They gave us full protection. We'll be safe. Liam arrived moments later. I booked the tickets. He knelt to tie the girl's shoelace. She looked so much like Olivia. Rachel smiled sadly. He's changed. Olivia sighed. So have I. They stood, ready to board a new life, but as Olivia turned to leave the playground, she spotted something strange. A red balloon tied to the swing. No children nearby, just a note hanging from the string. One day we'll meet. I'll be everything you feared and everything they need. MJ! Her blood ran cold. Rachel grabbed it, eyes narrowing. MJ? Liam looked shaken. Morrow Jr.? Olivia didn't answer. She simply picked up her children and walked away from the past, into whatever came next, the end.